Welcome back, everyone, to Children of Change Stop the Violence. My name is Marcus again, Paul, and today we're going to go
Yes,
on
sir.
ahead on our most recent story.
Bro, it's one of the major reasons we're starting this podcast about stop the violence. Is because every day it's getting worse and worse. Here we now read this story that a woman, not this week but last week, in Oxford, Michigan, the mother of this kid shot 4 people dead. The kid, not the mom. But they brung her up on charges. They brung the husband up on charges because they felt like they should have had more control over this child. My biggest, I can't even say, because honestly, truthfully, it kind of leads into my fed up shit. Because, bro, I own guns. I own several guns. All my guns are locked the fuck up. I have safes. I have fucking handgun safes. I have rifles safes. My ammunition's kept in a separate gun safe. My guns are kept in a separate safe. So even if my child, one of my grandkids, got one, ain't shit they can do with it because the other one's locked the fuck away. As a parent, how do you leave a gun anywhere for this child to get? For this child to have gone to school and shot 4 people, you already knew something was wrong. No one can tell me my kid wakes up tomorrow morning and says, I hate the fucking world, I'm going to kill somebody today. It's a lead up. They start getting angry. They start getting pissed off. They start, someone's bullying them in school. Something's going on. Something's being said to you. You're seeing signs. And if you got guns in the house, bro, you should be selling them motherfuckers because you should not have your child anywhere around something like that because, unfortunately, it's a fucked up thing what I'm about to say. The child could have killed you because this happened. That kid up in Parkland shot all those people after he shot his grandmother and got the gun from the grandmother's house. So it happens when these kids go on a mass shooting. They usually kill everybody up to where they get into, and hopefully they're trying to get themselves killed at the same time. It's gotten sickening. It's got 11-year-old boy. I was just telling Marcus a few minutes ago. 11-year-old boy took a fully loaded gun to school. Said specifically, I'm going to kill someone. Marcus said, I'm not going to ask you because I already ranted. You said something made great sense. You said something about how no one's listening to them. So I want your opinion on why do you think no one's listening to these kids? Are we as parents, teachers, therapists, is everyone dropping the ball on this and not seeing what's going on?
In my experience being in school and just talking to a lot of people that have been affected by bullying or victims of shootings or just related, my opinion is that there really aren't a lot of people, a lot of avenues that the youth can turn to when they feel like they're threatened, they're scared, or they need help, especially in school, like in grade school, in elementary, middle, high school. There's not a lot of staff. There's not a lot of faculty that students can go to that they feel safe around. And then when they do find a teacher or faculty that they're safe around, it's either A, they're not there for too long, B, they get forced out, C, they get fired, or D, they're not really that type of person.
Right.
So it's really hard to go up and ask for help. And then when you do have a faculty or staff that's supposed to be there to help, most of the time, from my experience, they don't care or they're not showing that amount of effort for everyone as they would as what you would think.
Right.
We're all human. Unfortunately, there's going to be staff, there's going to be people that have their own biases, they have their own preferences, and there's going to be students that's going to be left in the cracks, not really being addressed. If it's just they're being bullied, more times than not, somebody sees something. More times than not. It's either a staff, it's either another student, and most times they're not going to do anything unless they really know you or unless like something really serious happens. They're not really going to do anything because they're afraid something's going to happen to them. what a lot of schools get wrong is that they punish the person that's trying to get away from the danger, or trying to report the danger. Like when kids fight,
Right.
in fighting, I mean, when school fights, both kids get suspended, even if one doesn't throw a punch, even if one is being the victim, they both get suspended, which I think is really fucked up.
Right.
How are you going to, you're going to be a victim of bullying and you're not and you don't want to fight back, you're trying to obey the rules, you get hit and then you get suspended. That makes kids afraid of going to staff, because if you're going to already get suspended for doing something that you weren't even doing, or getting reprimanded for something that you weren't really a part of, what makes you think that kids are going to go to you during their times of need?
Right.
If you're going to be yelling at kids, or being upset, or having an asshole type of attitude towards them, they're not going to go up to you and ask for help, no matter what. They're going to try to take things into their own hands. And it's so heartbreaking and so saddening, because there's been multiple times where I've seen this. I've seen it happen. I've tried to help kids being bullied and stuff, and then either I'm not paid attention seriously, or like I'm guilty of it myself. I'm afraid of getting reprimanded too.
Right.
Like either you're trying to do good, you're trying to go to staff and let them know, like, hey, something's going on, I heard something, this and that, and then they don't really trust you. Like one time back in high school, I heard these two kids talking about bombing the school. I don't know, maybe they were planning about it or they were joking about it, but I heard it. So I went over to the staff and I told them, hey, I saw these two kids talking about bombing a school. I told them where they were. They didn't really see them on camera, but I told them. But then they started coming at me saying, like, oh, I made up the story
No
in
shit.
order to, like, get out of the test and stuff, and were threatening me of
Wow.
suspension. When I was just trying to tell them what I heard.
Right.
Maybe, like,
Trying
they
to
were
do the right thing.
Mhm. Maybe they were talking about, like, they were joking or they're serious. I don't know at the time. But after that experience, I was like, why am I going to put myself in that situation again if they're just going to treat me like a criminal, or like I'm guilty when I'm just trying to help?
Right.
That's it. Being exposed to stuff like that will haunt and stay with you all the way through your adult. And it will show with, for example, with law enforcement, with police, with just any of that. If something happens out there to you and you have already had an experience that you tried to go for help, and then the people that you thought were going to save you or be your assistants are going to berate you and be not as effective, you're not going to want to go over there and ask for help again.
Right.
That's why not a lot, but a number of individuals that have like a crime that happened to them, they won't go to the authorities immediately because they're afraid they're not going to be taken seriously. Like one example is with male sexual abuse victims.
Right.
More times than not, a male is not going to go to a figure of authority and let them know, like, hey, I got sexually assaulted, or hey, I got sexually harassed, because they're
Right.
going to be viewed as a wimp. They're going to be viewed as a baby, or they're going to be like they're lying or stuff like that. Because in our eyes in society and stuff, that doesn't happen. You're not supposed to be in that situation, or somebody's not going to believe it. When it does happen and you try to go and ask somebody for help and they treat you like shit, it really hurts. It really hurts, and it sticks with you. And it hurts even more if it's happening to
Right.
a young person instead of like an adult.
So, to follow up on that question, do you feel people that are responsible for these kids have dropped the ball?
I wouldn't say for per se drop the ball, like, because there's a lot of situations, there's a lot of circumstances where parents are trying to do their best for their kids, like going to work, doing multiple jobs, and all this stuff, and they can't really be there all the time and really
Right.
see or really like give their child the time, because they're doing all their effort in order to feed them, keep them clothes, and have a good life.
Right.
But like you said, there are certain things with your kid that you can notice. You can tell. You can always ask whenever you have the time, hey, how are you doing? Or is there something wrong? Asking somebody how they're doing, are you okay, can make a difference in somebody's life. For the better, for most of the time, for the better. So just taking a brief moment and just asking will figure it out. I think some parents are dropping the ball, not really checking out their kid and checking up on their mental status or just how they're doing.
Right.
But then there are others that are actually trying their best and they really don't have that much time. I feel like there needs to be more attentiveness to the youth. Like, if you don't have time, just ask, how's your day going? Or is everything okay with you? If they don't want to talk about it, pay more attention. If it's your child, you're definitely going to figure out, you're definitely going to pick up some tells. You can't be, in my opinion, parents can't be too naive, can't be too blinded by their perfect kid. Being straight up, your kid is not perfect.
Oh, that's
Nobody has a perfect kid. Your child is not the most bestest perfect person in the whole world that makes no mistakes. Bet you 100% they're not. They're
yes,
not.
Sir, I agree.
We're all human. We all have our own ways of going about life.
Yes, sir.
Don't be naive in thinking there's nothing wrong with so and so. Always check up. Always assume that there's something that they want to talk about. There's something on their mind. You could be wrong, but it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to check up on somebody and just say, hey, how you doing? I want to check up on you. I was thinking about you. How's your day been? Because that makes the world for a lot of people. You don't have to tell them like the best thing in the world. You don't have to tell them a joke. You don't have to brighten up their day. You can just be there and listen.
All right. With that being said, this mother is now facing 15 years in jail. Do you think, one, did she drop the ball? Two, does she deserve it? Two very important questions.
I personally don't know the background on the parent. Like, if they knew all the signs ahead of time, they saw it, it was obvious as hell, they didn't take the advantage to really check up on their child, then yeah, they do deserve it. Because you had the opportunity to see this. You saw the signs. You had the opportunity to stop them or at least check up on your kid.
Right.
Like, the fact that none of these actions were being taken place and everything just kept being pushed along, makes her completely accountable. Either 50%, 60%, 70%, but at least halfway accountable because the signs were there, most likely were there, and she did not take advantage of it to actually assess their child and see what was going on, check the risk. For example, like with guns, you said you have safes, everything is locked up.
That's correct.
If, in my opinion, if you see like your child is having some sort of mental difficulty or some sort of difficulty in your life and you know you have weapons in the house, double check where your weapons are. Double check everything is locked,
yes,
secure.
Sir.
Like, you don't have to throw them, like you said, you don't have to throw them away. You don't have to sell them, but just make sure everything is secure. If you suspect your child knows the locks or combinations or where the keys are, change them. Change the location of the safe. Change the combination or change the lock. Like,
right.
There are steps there that you can take in order to prevent a tragedy from happening.
Many steps.
Like, we can't be lazy and we can't just assume our kid or a significant other or somebody that we care about is perfect, because we're not. We're not. We need to get this delusion out of our head. Nobody's perfect, no matter what they display. Everyone has some sort of baggage. Everyone has something that they're going through or that they're holding on or that it's something about them. Nobody's perfect. We can't assume as such. So whenever we have an idea that something might be wrong or somebody needs help or somebody's just not in the best mindset or not having a good day, just check, ask. It's not that hard.
With that being said, bro, let me just put it this way. My biggest question is, we don't know the whole backstory.
Yeah.
Where'd the kid get the gun from?
Mm-hmm.
Was the gun in the house? Did they leave? Because I just read a story a couple of weeks ago. This uncle was sitting around the house having a few drinks, bullshitting, set his gun down on the sofa, fully loaded, took it out of his pants. Kid was 7 years old, 6 to 7, took the fucking gun, was playing around, shot himself in the head.
I heard of that. Mm-hmm.
He deserves to go to jail. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
not
don't
to be a fucking prick, but you
take your
deserve to go.
gun out your pocket when there's children around you and leave it in an exposed
no
area
excuse.
like a couch.
If they were fucking upstairs playing in a fucking shower,
if
you took your eyes off that gun, you're responsible.
Me personally, I don't own a gun, so my opinion could be wrong. But if they felt like they had to take it out, one, keep your gun on safety. Two, if it was a pistol, unclip it. and put them both separate.
Listen. I own a gun. It would have been one simple thing. This was a child, so he couldn't have fucking clocked it back. You understand? To load it.
Yeah.
So even the simple fact you taking the fucking bullet out of the chamber would have saved that child's life.
Yeah.
So you deserve to go to jail. Just like this person, if they allowed this child to take their guns out their house, let me tell you something. I'm all for gun protection.
Put it on top of, if you're gonna take it out, put it on top of something really high up so nobody can get access to it. Keep the safety on, like you said. Take the bullet out the chamber. Me personally, I would also unclip it. Keep everything separate. That way, there's no chance of a tragedy to happen.
Thank you.
I mean, I understand there might be some times where you're not going to think of everything all the way, but at least keep your gun on safety and take the bullet out the chamber.
Bro, first of all, you should not be coming to someone's home with your fucking gun.
And
if you
have it
there, you were in a fucking car.
Leave it in the car.
Leave that motherfucker in your car. Lock the fuck in your car. You know there's children in that house. You have no excuse.
Yep.
You understand? If I was a judge, I'd lock your ass up for the rest of your life. Fuck 10, 15 years. You're going to jail the rest of your life because you're a stupid motherfucker.
If you knew there were kids there, even if you didn't know there were kids there, and if you had the gun with you and you're about to walk in the door, once you know there's kids there, just go back to your car, put the gun away. It's not that far. I mean, it shouldn't be that far to just go walk down and put your gun away and then come right back. And you don't have to be obvious about putting your gun back in the car. A lot of people keep their wallets in their car and keep other personal items in the car and not obvious about it to keep it low key.
Thank you.
So you can definitely keep your gun in the car and keep it low key and keep it safe.
Listen.
There's so many preventative actions a firearm owner can take in order to prevent a tragedy. Like, it's
we're going to touch some shit right now, bro, because you're going to have people, once they hear this fucking podcast, they're going to be cursing us out because right now, like, guns are a big fucking thing.
Yeah, but in my opinion, guns aren't bad. It's the people that use them in a wrong way.
Guns don't kill.
It's the people.
People kill. You understand? And I believe, like I said, I'm a gun owner. And I'm 100% for gun regulations. I think there's not enough gun regulations right now.
I agree. I don't want it, and me personally, I don't want it to be too over-regulated. But I feel as though there's definitely...
Wait. You know what? No, I'm sorry. I own a gun, like I keep saying. You're saying not over-regulated. Answer me a question. What did you have to do to get your driver's license?
I'm not talking about that aspect.
No. You're saying over-regulating getting a gun. What did you have to do to get your driver's license? How many steps did you have to take before they said, here, Marcus, here's your driver's license?
That's different. In Florida,
Why?
In Florida, you don't really do a lot. You just take a written test.
You got to take a written test. Then you got to take a 5-hour class.
No, I didn't take a class.
Well, then you got over it because even my son, my stepson, he got all his permits and stuff through school. We had to pay for a 5-hour class for him to take a 5-hour road test, basically. They walk you through all the both. New York City, you got to take a 5-hour class. Yeah. Then after you do that, you got to take a road test before you get your driver's license. There's steps. With a gun now,
you just need a background check, do you?
That's all you.
Background and mental.
Before you used to have to carry a gun with you, you had to have a carrier's permit. A carrier's permit meant that you had to go down and take a safety course. You had to learn how to shoot this fucking gun, and then you were certified to own this gun. Now, the governor's new law says you don't need that shit anymore. Yeah, all you need is you don't got a felony. You have no domestic abuse. And you're over 18. Go get your gun. This is why, me personally, bro, how I feel about that shit, there should be a lot more, not regulations, but a lot more steps.
Yeah. I think personally there should be, like you said, there should be more steps to take. I don't think it should be too overly regulated. Like more steps like psych eval, more in-depth background check.
Yes, sir.
Checking priors. Just like how jobs ask for references. Get some notable references. Like more in-depth vetting. And then the type of firearm. Like if you're somebody with if for notable people, I don't think you should get like a bazooka.
Or a fucking semi-automatic rifle that you can fucking light somebody up with.
Or an LMG. Like for example, but if somebody had prior military background and they passed all the tests and stuff and everything, then there are certain weapons, in my opinion, that would be opened up. Like once you're like proven to be able to use these weapons. I don't think per se every citizen should be able to use every single weapon. I think it should be going in tiers.
Here we're going to go pro and cons in this, bro, because you know the type of people we deal with every single day, our work environment. Some of these people do have PTSD. They should not even own a gun, much less own a military-style gun.
That's why that goes in addition with the restrictions, the psych eval, the priors, the references. That way they know for a fact if you can or can't have these guns.
See, I'm loving what you're saying. That's me and my wife had this conversation. The psych eval, I think, is the most important point. Mm-hmm. To add on to that psych eval, I think if you want a gun that badly, you should have to pay to go see a psychiatrist twice. Not once, because a psychiatrist cannot determine off the cuff for a 15-minute eval that I'm giving you. You should have to go twice. And both times should have to come out of your pocket. Because if you want that gun that goddamn badly, if it costs us $250 or whatever it costs you to go see this, get this psych eval twice, pay it. Because then once that psychiatrist, he signs off on your psych eval and says, you're okay. You're mentally strong enough to have a gun.
I think it should be a 30-minute psych eval, not 15. And
I'm just saying,
I agree with you.
It should be twice. At least 2 times. Yeah. Because you work in the industry, and you know for a fact you can't get someone's right off a 15-minute eval. You just can't. Yeah. You know, you need time. You need to see them more than one time. Same thing with owning a gun. Come on, someone needs to tell our governor, our politicians, our lawmakers, it's okay to own a gun, but make it steps.
Yep.
Don't make it so fucking easy for everyone to go walk out there and go, hey, I want a gun today.
And then they wonder why, how come there's so many of these shootings?
Exactly.
Like, it's not the gun, it's the person holding the gun, and we have to do a better job on making sure the right person should be able to own a gun.
Amen, brother. I'm with you 100%.
I personally don't want to see us lose that. I want to be able to buy a gun in the future, go down to a range and
right.
I don't want to be able to have to wait 2, 3, 4 years and go through all these hoops and bends because of all these people making all these mistakes. Like, I agree, there should be a lot more like vetting to make sure the right person has a gun.
I agree.
I don't think it should be over the top and stuff like.
We just have to be careful too, because at the end of the day, the way our country, the direction is taken,
it's more divisive.
They want to take away the right to own a gun. Mm-hmm. Because understand something, when it gets to that point in time, God forbid this country ever comes to a head where there's a revolution or there's something that we need to defend ourselves. They just took away every angle of defending ourselves.
That was one reason why a lot of countries in World War II didn't want to come over to America and do what's it called when they make landfall in America. I think I read a story about the Japanese military. They didn't want to send people over to America and have war on American soil because they knew that almost every citizen had a gun. So that means almost everyone was armed. You want to send a army over to a state that almost everyone else is already armed. You're like you're fighting another army.
True.
They might not be as trained, but there's a lot more people with weapons than you. So that was a deterrent. That was a deterrent for a lot of people. And there's a lot of countries out there that restrict guns for their citizens. Japan.
Yeah.
France. England. Like, they're there's a couple out there that are really restrictive. So we have a benefit that a lot of other countries don't. But we shouldn't, in my opinion, like take this for granted.
I agree. I just think it should be a little bit more regulated, a little bit more vetting. Yep. And I definitely think a psych eval should be the first thing they add on, because they keep saying gun regulation. Okay, but don't go overboard. Simple vetting, simple psych eval. 2 little simple things that you can add on that's going to take so many guns out of people's hands. Because any psych eval, once or twice, the psychiatrist or a doctor sees this person, they're going to like, this person's got PTSD. This person's got mental health problems. they're going to catch it.
Yep.
Hopefully, they'll catch enough of them. They can say, "Sorry, we're not giving you a gun. You just can't own a gun," and send you on your merry fucking way. And hopefully, we'll take a lot more guns out of people's hands. Brother, it's getting this shit every day. Mass shooting every day. Our kids are carrying guns to school. I understand what you were saying earlier about kids being bullied and kids, no one's listening to them. But I grew up at a time, bro, that this is how we handle our problem. You and me got problems? See you at 3 o'clock. We throwing down.
It goes back to the ease of access of getting a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not in a society anymore that we can do fisticuffs and just handle it that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are guns out there that are easily accessible. Also, there are people out there that don't want to help. It's not just fisticuffs anymore. It's really being aware of like where everyone's coming from.
That's the scary part. That is the scary part because, so, I mean, what's the fucking answer? I mean, how do we find a solution to this?
There isn't an answer yet. We're in the process of finding that answer now. It's gonna take some time, and it's gonna take some people to get their head out their ass and really see the problem and try to address it. Not really focus on the money or the selfish endeavors, but really what's at stake for everybody. But I'll end it on that.
Well, I'll say one last thing. I think we have to re-educate the next generation. Your generation, brother, they're lost. It's no re-educating them. It's no taking them down a different path. If they decide they're going to gangbang, they're going to gangbang. You're not getting them out of it. They decide they're going to rob, steal, sell drugs, that's what they're going to do. We have to grab the next generation and re-educate them. Teach them new things. Teach them that it's a better way. Those that are not being listened to, we need to open up our ears and listen. Parents, teachers, therapists, police officer, whoever it is. When this child comes to you and says, I got a problem, stop whatever the fuck you doing, sit your ass down, listen to this child, find out what's going on, see how you, because it's us, it's the next older generation that now has to set precedents to help these kids find a better way. Because if we don't, we're going to lose the next generation worse than we lost you guys. Mm-hmm. So my personal opinion, how to find a way, is we re-educate these kids. We grab them now. We forget school, because school is only preparing us. It's a fucked up thing to say, preparing us for jail. You realize, you ever look at school? Well, make this real quick and easy. You ever watch school, how they line you up to go to lunch, how they line you up to go to every single class, how they got the bells, how they got all these different the principals, same thing, principals or warden. When they line you up in school, they same way they line you up in jail. When they go serve you food, they serve you this food the same fucking way they do in school. They're preparing you. So we got to get away from that shit and teach kids a whole different way. We'll talk about it on our next episode, though. We're going to, like, this was really...
It was a very productive episode.
Very educating. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Going to have another great episode next time. I want to give everyone a great thanks. And
same here, guys. Same here. It was long. We do apologize. We get kind of carried away sometimes.
It was a little.
And we kind of like, yeah. I'm very long-winded. I get Marcus in here on that sometimes. Guys, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody. We'll catch y'all next time.